Okay, so good morning for all of those of you in Europe. Good evening or good afternoon for all of those in Asia, and probably, I don't know, I need to work it out, maybe good evening in America or the other side of the world. Anyway, my name is Hilton. I am the general manager of Alba Wellness Valley. I too am the ambassador for World Wellness Weekend in Vietnam. And today we have a super special guest with us who I've been chasing around for months. I don't think I got the hint because she's trying to not be available, but after so much so finally she is available. No, I'm only joking. Lucy is very busy and very active around the world. So it's great to have you with me for 30 minutes to have a quick chat about how you're changing the world, because you are actually changing the world. So I'm talking too much here, so I'll hand over to you. Lucy, please go ahead. If you can just let us know who you are and a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Hilton. That was a really lovely introduction. Yes, so I'm Lucy Brialey. I am the founder and director of Sustainable Wellness, which was formerly Sustainable Spa Association. And when you say I'm always busy and around the world, I actually barely leave my office, but I travel around the world online from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. at times, just catching up with sustainability issues, really, around the world, uplifting sustainability in the spa and wellness industry. And I've been very lucky that this has been really widely accepted all over the world. I mean, we've got about 2,000 members in 45 countries. So it took off like a rocket when we launched.
Exciting. So maybe I can ask you, Lucy, how did this all come about? Where does the passion of sustainability come in?
Yeah, I think, well, I've been in the spa industry spa and wellness industry for over 25 years. Started as a therapist. And of course, you know, when you're a therapist, a massage therapist, or you know, anyone working in the wellness industry, you have a really natural leaning towards caring for people. That's why you're there in the industry. But I also had a kind of personal passion for environmental issues as well. So I feel, you know, maybe over those years working in the industry, just bringing those two things very close together. At the same time as the rise around awareness on sustainability, just kind of, you know, it just felt like the right thing to devise a way to bring a sustainable business model into our industry. And when I kind of started digging into that and doing bits of education, I realised how well it really fits, because it's about people, it's about planet and prosperity and profit. And, you know, ultimately, we're all in business as well. So that balance over those three pillars just really made sense for our industry. You know, I think people lean differently into different pillars of sustainability. And I would certainly have two of them very strongly in me, in terms of looking after people and social issues and communities, and also having that passion for environmental care. So, and also business as well, because I've run my own businesses in that time. So that kind of bedrock, that foundation of sustainability made so much sense for people working in our industry.
I know you're a lot more on the spa side, and I know you talk to a lot of people about that as well. I personally, obviously, I'm involved on the spa side and the wellness side as well, but I try to wave the flag within the hospitality industry, which is basically the same industry. We're just maybe splitting it left and right. So, you know, I think as much as I can, and I try to make a lot of noise, and everybody says I'm naive, and my wife says I'm obsessed. But, you know, I think we can all make small efforts. We may not change the world tomorrow, but within our areas, be it the spa, be it a fitness center, be it obviously a hotel like myself, we can do things that can really make a difference. So what do you basically tell people, you know, how can someone walk the walk and talk the talk? There's a lot of people out there go, oh, okay, so now I've got to stop taking planes, I've got to stop driving, I've got to stop laughing, fuel I've got to stop breathing because I'm putting out carbon dioxide out. How do I save the planet?
Yeah, and I think it's a very good question. It's an overwhelming subject when you start to, lift the lid on it. And I think what we wanted to achieve with sustainable wellness was bringing as much information down to the ground as we can about sustainability and what you really should be doing. There's so much noise out there about sustainability now, and it's great because it's empowering everybody. But what we don't really want is lots of people doing lots of isolated actions that are not being measured or kind of brought into one place to see that we are actually making a difference. Because part of feeling like you're doing something is almost measuring it and seeing that success. So sustainability is something that touches absolutely every industry. It touches business, it touches governments, it touches individuals. So what we wanted to achieve was to get the right information, and it can be very scientific at times as well, and it can be very, very detailed and technical. So bringing that information down to be completely relevant to a spa or hospitality operator, because what's right for steel industry, for example, isn't right for a hotel operation. So if you're looking online and trying to work out exactly what to do, we just wanted to bring that down into a language and a set of steps and actions that you take that would be really valuable in a spa and wellness setting or a hotel setting. And interesting that you say, it kind of stands out into hospitality. Of course it does. I think about 80% or more of our spa members around the world are set within hotel situations. So as we've kind of grown over the last couple of years, we've actually expanded our services to be able to go into hotel and supply chain as well and give that right advice. In terms of, I'm always kind of asked for the kind of top three things we should be doing, but it's kind of, I've tried to break that down a little bit instead of kind of giving a top three list of actions, like single-use plastics and reducing those and things like that. I try to avoid answering the question in that way, and instead kind of answer with, maybe 4 or 5 steps, such as setting the intent to do that. Setting the intent to start upon a journey of sustainability, and then setting some goals, big or small, gathering the advice and information you need, identifying the things that are going to help you get there, and then measuring and reporting on your results. So there's 4 things there that people can do, but it's not specific actions. It's just set the intention, how are you going to do it, and how are you going to measure it really to see what impact you've had afterwards. And from there, once all of those things are in place, you can then start to put the actions that you want to take into those categories.
I think you made a valid point there. Where I've been speaking to people and they said, look, I don't have the finances, I don't have the budget, I don't have the know-how to get these big companies like Edge or Green Star or whatever they may be in the different countries to come in and do a whole audit and tell me, how I'm doing. So I'm not going to do anything, and I always say to them, the fact that you recycle rainwater, it doesn't mean that you're not going to pass and be an environmental hotel, but at the end of the day, you're doing something towards helping. So I think people need to understand it's one thing about a competition and being classified as carbon neutral, and you can put it on your lid clothes, but it's another thing of just using common sense and reducing single-use plastic and recycling water or whatever it might be. There's so many different things out there, and I think people need to understand that we need to start moving that way, not doing what we've done for so many years in the past.
Yeah, I mean, it can be a very daunting subject to kind of start to embark upon, and I think you're right that a lot of people think, well, I can't take that big step. I can't make those big achievements, so therefore I won't do small ones either. And we're very, very much about, celebrating the small wins for sustainable actions as much as the big ones. So we have, when we launched literally just with an accreditation, and it was in lockdowns, and a few people were kind of taking it up and interested, but I did a survey, and probably should have done it before we launched, but did it afterwards, and it was really funny because people were kind of coming back with this attitude of, but we're not a sustainable spa, we can't join. And I was thinking, right, I'm getting something very wrong here with the communication then, because we're here to help you take those steps. We're not here to judge you. And I think there's a lot of that as well. There's a lot of feeling of, well, we're not doing anything. I don't want to be judged. If I start to take these assessments, I'm going to be exposed. And so we've really tried to break down those feelings towards sustainability as well. And one of the ways I did that was to start a range of campaigns, one for climate action, one for water stewardship, one for biodiversity, and plastic reduction as well, because this is the one that's kind of really been hit home over many years, and people really understand plastic reduction and why. And so I thought, I actually don't mind what door people push on to come in, whatever resonates with them, because once they come and they join the association, what they'll realise is that one thing they focus on is great, and they really get into it, they understand it, start to measure and report on it. But then they can see the whole range of other activities that are in there. They start to feel more comfortable with all of the kind of jargon in the talk that's going on in the sustainability space. And then they find that they're kind of creeping on a bit more confidently into joining another campaign, or we're really embarking upon a structured roadmap to a more sustainable business model. And again, just allowing people to have that space to explore themselves has been really important. And you've been given a private preview access to our new platform, Hilton, so you'll see what we're trying to achieve now, and that will be launched this week. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, we've now kind of set this platform where we've got a critical mass of members on one side, operators, suppliers, we've got students, academics and teachers, and all sorts of people within this platform now. Just before we launched, we were just kind of checking it out and doing the trial runs for it. But what we are looking to achieve there is a really open platform where people can just come and join in. The membership's free, like it would be on the LinkedIn or Facebook sites. You can just come in, and there's a lot of open source material in there. We've got a lot of resources on the campaigns that I mentioned earlier, but we've also got a roadmap for sustainability, which is an entirely free roadmap from start to finish on how you would set a sustainable management plan. And so, in terms of being able to explore the subject yourself, there's a lot in there that you can do before you even have to take those steps for accreditation or any other education. It's open resource.
I think that's absolutely amazing how you basically, if I understand correctly, just so everyone can understand, you put together a place where you can get an A to Z on how, who, what, when, why. And it's absolutely amazing. And I have had a preview of that. Don't tell everybody. And yes, I'm also guilty. I haven't been back enough to look at it. And Lisa's going to go, get in there. And
not
she's
at
pushing
all.
me. My turn now. Not now, I'm joking. But the thing is that it's a one-stop shop, which is really amazing. And your association is growing. And I think the success and the number of people that have joined your association and the work that you do, obviously, we can see there's an interest out there. And it's really important. Maybe I can ask you, Lucy, both of us are judges on the World Spa Award. And we judged the section on sustainability. Is there something you'd like to share, or not specifically from maybe those judging, but anything out there that really impressed you in terms of the efforts of what some people are doing? I was pretty impressed with one or two of them, and it's great to see things happening out there. Anything that like kind of you're like, wow.
There's a number of well-known spa brands out there that really have sustainability embedded in every aspect of their business model. You know, like we were saying earlier, from people and planet to kind of prosperity, and how that circular, although they're pillars, they're also very interrelated, and you can see that coming through in their approach to sustainability and how they measure it. I actually, although very impressed with all of the entries, I did work with Mark Maloney this year a little bit on reconfiguring the requirements for the award, and we made it a little bit tougher, kind of agreeing that sustainability should be a question that comes up in probably every award, but then be a more kind of targeted set of questions and requirements for the actual sustainability award. And what I would like to see next year as well is kind of most improved award, because it is a journey, and some are far down the journey with their measurements and actions, and others are just starting. But it doesn't mean that the stuff they're doing isn't really valuable. In fact, in that space, when you're just starting, the improvements you can make are much bigger, because you could be going from zero to huge improvements in one step. Yeah,
That's what I was saying before, because if someone can go in and invest in a $1 billion solar energy plant and bring it into their property and go off the grid, suddenly everybody's going, wow, they're completely off the grid and they're carbon neutral. And yes, which is amazing, but not everyone can do it. And then suddenly they get lost, although they're doing so much more or so much as well. They get lost in the story because they're not recognized as a big brand. That's a very good point. So again, it comes back to what I said, every little bit helps.
Every bit helps, absolutely. But yeah, there are some outstanding entries in there, and some really, really great success stories as well. But I think what I love to see the most is those spas that are really looking at it from that kind of really interrelated, with a really interrelated attitude, where, you know, staff and team members are really well educated in sustainability because it's part of the values of the business. And so actually it's probably something that everybody's very aware of at work, but something they will take away into their personal lives as well. And that tends to work really well when there's a lot of education, or even daily education, or it's just part of the conversation between teams. They then learn more and more as they go along, and they learn together, they run initiatives together. And they are able then as well to communicate that to guests who come in, who also feel the values of sustainability when they come into that establishment. And then, you know, that falls into the things they're doing environmentally, because they'll be learning about those things and they'll be wanting to do more. And because it's being measured, they can really see the success of what they're doing. And of course, in hand, you know, that means it's meaningful to the guests, it's meaningful to the staff, it's meaningful for the planet. And you kind of find you get this upturn on the triple bottom line reporting, where the profitability of the business actually benefits very much. So I think it's important to talk about the business model as a whole. Like you said earlier,
you mentioned the bottom line. I'm working on a think tank, and actually I did some research on the triple bottom line, and people don't know what it is. But you and I both know. So maybe if we can explain to our listeners very simply, what actually is the triple bottom line?
Sure. So I think, like I was saying, it's important to look at the sustainability as a business model on the whole. So when we talk about people, planet, and profit, that is your triple bottom line. And what the business was usually report on is just the profitability. Whereas what we're teaching our staff members to do is actually report on what they do for people, for might be their teams, people within the business, and kind of things that they do out in the community. And then Planet, where they can report upon what actions they've taken environmentally. And what we find is that if you kind of put this out on a graph, and you're saying people find, sustainability intimidating from one point of view, maybe from a financial point of view of what they've got to, kind of implement in the business. And I think that's actually, well, I know it's actually, it's not the case. If you look at long-term triple bottom line reporting, there may be some investments to make depending on what it is that you're facing on an environmental or a social scale. But actually, even if you have those little dip-offs, when you're putting investment into people or putting investment into environmental things, actually the profit line eventually takes a steeper upturn than it would if you were just measuring the profit line.
Correct. What we did at this property is I've just actually presented the budget to the owners a month ago, 2 months ago. So we just took our total revenue. We took a percentage out of the total revenue, and half of that was towards people, and half of that was towards planet. So that percentage just came out of our revenue. Very simply, the owners were very happy, and boom, as simple as that. So people profit, planet will profit. You touched on something over there, investment. I have so many questions to ask you, and I'll tick tock, the time is going. Something that has come up in our industry over this past year is that everybody's woken up to wellness, which is great for us. I mean, we're very happy about that. And at the same time, people are saying, okay, well, in order for me to attract business, be it a spa, be it a resort, I need to be wellness because that's what people want. People are traveling to sustainable, people are traveling to wellness resorts. So it's been a huge advantage for us. Unfortunately, not everyone does it correctly, but like I said, it's something's better than nothing. So are you also seeing growth in people saying, well, the woman is going, well, I need to invest in something in regards to wellness or sustainability because I can attract more business, using it as a marketing tool? I think, yes, from my perspective. Do you agree with me?
So my earpods were went a little bit funny then. Was your question around using sustainability as a marketing tool?
Sure.
Yeah, Hilton, that is a question that really will spark something in me. Yeah, I mean, we work with. Yeah, we work with obviously with the operators to uplift sustainability within their businesses, and we successfully do that. We also work with supply chain, and because they're actually without a really great sustainable supply chain, the operators are stuck, on the other side, not being able to purchase things that they need from a sustainable angle. There is a lot of there's still a very wide attitude that sustainability is something that's going to be great on your marketing materials, great to promote. I am very, very clear with all members from all sides that this is not a marketing exercise. Yes, when you have measured, managed and reported and you've had successes, shout about it. But these are not badges to be kind of put on your business to mislead people or just give yourself a pat on the back. This is about changing behaviour. And when you change behaviour and you changed something for the positive in the environment or in society, or you've made, you've created enough revenue in the business to be able to give back in some way or invest in your teams or other things, then that's something to be celebrated. And yes, you can attribute it to a sustainability action, but it's not the purpose. And so that really gets me. And it comes from a very long, a decade or so of using it as a marketing tool, which is why we have such a big issue with greenwashing now. We're trying to reverse the effect of greenwashing.
Yeah. It goes back to the spa industry and the heydays 20 years ago, 15 years ago. There were spas and there were spas. And people were advertising these 5 beautiful spas. And at the end of the day, they weren't actually qualified, they weren't using the right crop. So it's kind of the same thing. And the spa has evolved to a very professional level for the most part. So I do feel that the sustainability element should evolve to that level as well. It has to, anyway.
Yeah, and you know that's exactly what we kind of set out to do. Actually, if you kind of really want to kind of drill down into the why, it's to change behaviour and change attitudes. And yes, that has to be celebrated along the way. But when we have achieved the things we need to achieve, so I'm very much up for shouting about it, shouting about all the successes and all the power that can go around that when we've achieved it.
We're running out of time, and I wanted to ask you something special, but I have to be very diplomatic because I don't know how much of this information is actually known. So you are working on some super, super exciting projects in some countries. So I'm not going to mention anything because I don't know how much of it is public and not public. But there are some crazy projects going on around the world which are mega sustainability orientated, which is the top of their business plan. And we are sitting with somebody today who's actually involved in some of those super exciting projects. So there's more and more of this going on, which is fantastic. So it's from ground level up. People are really considering the environment. If you can share the product, it's fantastic. If you can't because of whatever reason, I mean, maybe you can just tell us a little bit, like I'm being very vague here, knowing exactly what I'm talking about. If you can tell us a little bit about some of these projects, you don't have to mention countries and names.
Yeah, so it's this couple of years, like I said, it's kind of taken off like a rocket. And one of the things that has kind of come out of that is being brought in on projects right from conception for new spa and wellness brands emerging onto the market, and being given the responsibility of sustainability lead on those projects, which is just honestly, it's like heaven to me, because sustainability touches every department. So when we're looking at at the concept stage, it has to be a thread that runs through everything from the design and build through to what's going to happen on an operational basis. I'm working with Alberto Apostoli on a very fantastic, a really fantastic concept in British Columbia and Canada. At the moment, that's probably the biggest piece of consultancy that I'm doing. So we've been working on that for 2 years, actually, and it's just coming to the point where it's going to start to pop up, and we have announced it slightly. So it's out there, don't worry. But it's amazing looking at the concept from start to finish like this, because we can embed really incredible technology. Actually, sustainability is something that touches the ground we walk onto, AI and tech, and really futuristic things that are going to be really valuable to human life and efficiency within a hospitality setting, and really protect the environment and everything around it. So some of the water waste and energy systems that we're able to assess that are going to go into as part of the infrastructure are things we haven't seen before really in hospitality, and it all comes down to them having sustainable business model embedded right from the beginning. It's just it's incredible to see, actually be into a project like that where you can see where the future of sustainability can go for hospitality. Really exciting, and that's just one of them.
Yeah, people are putting their money, which is fantastic. There are more. I think people are following in Saudi Arabia are doing some crazy things at the moment. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. And yes, maybe the marketing is really good, but they're really putting their money where their mouth is, and they're really leading the way. Our industry is really a massive wow factor. We just all pray there's not much greenwashing involved, but it sounds out of control, and they're really pushing that. And it's in the desert, in places where there's absolutely nothing. So they're taking an area that has no value to the environment and creating a sustainable environment which will actually generate, like you said earlier, rejuvenate and circulate all the things that we're talking about. So it's super exciting. And these are very, so, you know, people will follow suit. So it is positive. There's hope.
Yeah. Really, yeah, there is, and we're working on some of the projects out in Saudi as well. So yeah, I've got a really, really good view of what's going on.
I knew, but she said it, so now it's okay.
Oh, is that what you're getting at? Yeah, no, we're working on a number of those out there as well. So really, really, yeah, there's so much going on. And actually, when it comes to greenwashing on these projects, we, in some of the projects we're working on out there, and certainly on the one in Canada as well, the Sustainable Wellness, we have a partner called Future Plus, and they are able to measure sustainability for the wider hospitality setting and our supply chain. So where I do the sort of departmental spa and wellness accreditations, which is very much decision making day to day for those teams, Future Plus are measuring, like I said, like the bigger hospitality setting, and they can do this from conception on projects. So they're working with us on some of those projects out there as well. So it just prevents greenwashing from day one. They're absolutely incredible measurements and methodology that they've got, which just enables zero greenwashing basically, and a lot of accountability. But it's great.
Super exciting. There's hope. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot of development. So one thing that I didn't mention at the beginning of this conversation is both Lucy and I are part of World Wellness Weekend. We represent World Wellness Weekend here in Asia, and Lucy in the United Kingdom. So we both World Wellness people. Oh, there we go. So please join us in September 16, 17, and 18. In September this year on World Wellness Weekend. There's a logo, we'll put some information. So if anyone wants to get involved, plant 400 trees on that weekend. Go clean up the beach. We need it. The world needs it. The environment needs it. Our industry needs it. So it's not just about doing fitness activities, yoga on the beach. It's about cleaning up, planting some trees, and looking after the environment as well. So with that and all this fantastic insight and information from our wellness guru and sustainability, okay, I have to say sustainability guru, not enough wellness guru. Thank you very much, Lucy. It's amazing to have you, and thank you for your insights. We hope that everyone has learned something from this, and I'm sure if you want any more information, you can contact Lucy. All the information is below, posted with contacts about the Sustainable Wellness Association and Lucy's personal phone number and address now. Some contact details. So with that, thank you very much. And thank you very much, Lucy.
Oh, thank you so much. Great to be with another absolute sustainability guru as well. Very supportive.